What's going on, YouTube, man? It's your boy CJ3 back at it again with yet another video. It's the Gym Slasher. Appreciate you guys for coming in, checking me out. Man, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the notification button. Give me unconditional love, and I give it right back. With that being said, we're gonna get it right into it. Failures. Is it better to learn from other people's failures or learning from your own failures? Right? It's a big question, loaded question. There's really no wrong answer in terms of a spoiler alert, just a matter of preference, right? But a healthy conversation I think you should have with your friends and family in terms of just regular old conversation and see where people mindset are at in terms of understanding and learning from people's mistakes and learning from your own mistakes. If I had to pick the choice, I'd rather learn from your mistakes than my own, right? However, I don't mind learning from my own mistakes. Either either way, you benefit from taking the time to sit back and unpack a what we call a failure or a mistake or something you shouldn't have done in terms of long term. You may have doing something wrong or incorrect uh, early, but you don't see the mistakes until later on in your career, right? Or later on in life. And then you look back and go, man, where did I go wrong at? Or where did they go wrong at? Right. I don't take pride in terms of wanting to see someone fail or wanting to see someone have mistakes. That's not what I mean by learning from other people's mistakes. It's just a lesson that if I'm going down that same path or I'm going down that same journey and I'm seeing what helped them or what didn't help them, and not to use that for my benefit in terms of, okay, when I get there, now I know what I should or shouldn't do based on what I've seen from others or from that person or many of people. Maybe I needed to go a different path when I reach this fork in the road or when I reach this hurdle. Maybe I need to try a different technique than the one that they did or didn't do for that matter, right? So my job has always been, I'd rather for me to go through things for myself. I don't have a problem with making my mistakes. I don't have a problem with making my failures. I'm okay with that as long as I went with great intent in my heart, right? I made it with the intent that I thought was going to make, I thought this was a good decision, right? And it didn't work out. I can take that knowing where my mindset was at during that decision or during that uh, travel of down that journey. But then I can also sit back and go, okay, I thought that was not the case. Got it. Now let me reconfigure, let me figure some things out. The thing about it is this. The funny thing, and I'm not going to get too much in terms of your spirituality, in terms of religion, with all respect to all of that, I tend to believe being here long enough on this earth we call, or on this world we call earth, right? Life has a tendency of repeating itself. Seeing if you actually have learned your lesson or you have learned from somebody else's lesson. It tends to come back to see if you actually did it. Because any one of us can say, okay, yeah, I ain't gonna do that. That ain't gonna happen to me. Or, I'm smart enough to know that not to do this. Do you though? And life has a funny thing of saying, okay, we're going to see. We're going to see if you learn from this. We're going to see if you learn from that person doing this. And they're going to put you in a very similar situation to find out, right? We all say, we're all talking about, we've all had conversations of somebody, for an example, winning the lottery, right? And winning 50 million, 60 million, 100 million, right? And then within 5, 10 years, they're broke. They don't have anything to show for themselves. And we all kind of sit back and armchair them and go, oh, that wouldn't have happened to me. Or yeah, if I would have had it, I would have done this and this and this. It's easier said than done sometimes, right? Because we have never been in that situation. So we may not know how to handle that, right? But let's say a billionaire, right? And seeing that person squander that money, they'll know exactly what went wrong and they'll know exactly how to recover from something like that because they've been there and done that. They've seen that, right? So it's a different dynamic. It's important that even when those things you want to unpack, okay, what did that person do when they won when they won that lottery? Did they do this? Did they do that? Did they set money aside? Did they put this in here? Did they do that? Okay, this is where they went wrong. So you never know, because that situation may come when you, hopefully, hey, if you do win the lottery, you win it. Hopefully those things start going through your brain and saying, okay, I remember when I was saying I wouldn't do that when that person. And I remember saying that this and this, so I'm gonna go this path. And hopefully you learn from their mistakes and you better achieve. And then not only that you learn from it, but you pay it forward. You give that knowledge to the next person or persons or people, right? And saying, okay, now that I went through that, here's how you can get through that without going through those perils of mistakes. That's the direction that I tend to go, even though I learn from other people's mistakes or transgressions, negative transgressions. If I went through it and I came out on top, or I succeeded or I won, right? I would rather, if I see this consistently, hey, I did this, okay, let me try this again when I get into that competitiveness or when I get into that situation. Am I going to find a way to get out of this or not, right? If I keep finding that same recipe giving me success, not only short term, but long term, that's when it's time for me to start forwarding that information to the next people that's coming behind me to go, hey, look, this is how I got through this. This is time. You guys use this to your advantage and take what you want. Kind of similar to what I was talking about in the videos before in terms of learning and teaching and training other people, right? Going through mistakes, right? And seeing people go through them builds character, gets you a better understanding of going, okay, things can happen, but also people like to see a triumph story. People like to see, I was down, but then here I found a way to get out of it, right? I failed, but yet I got up, got myself up, dust myself off, and then now I'm back at it. Now I realize I shouldn't go down that path and I'll go this way, right? Like I've said before, don't be afraid to fail, but just ask the right questions in terms of that failure. What did I do wrong? What did I do right? Where did I mess up? Where didn't I mess up? Right? Who was around me to help me navigate through that? Who wasn't around me? Did somebody even give me something in my ear to tell me I shouldn't go this way? Right? Was I just going off of off a limb, just figuring this thing out as I go along? Those are healthy questions to ask yourself as you go through that failure. And that failure is nothing but a learned lesson, right? In relative to how significant the failure or mistake is, right? But in general, those failures are just lessons learned. They're not, it took me some time to understand that in my head, to understand that if I failed, it wasn't me being a failure. It's just I just didn't have what it took to get that done. But if I break it down and explain and start to see what I went wrong or went right, that's where mentorship comes into play, leadership come into play, right? Honesty, accountability, all those things start to come into play, to where when that situation comes back again, because more often than not, that life will give you back that chance to rectify that, to right that wrong. And you have to be equipped. Otherwise, you're going to fail again. And then it's going to come back when you keep saying, yeah, I'm going to figure this thing out. It's going to come back to see if you really did. So be honest with yourself. Don't dismiss it. Oh, that won't happen to me. Why? Because it just won't. No. You don't want to have that mindset when you see mistakes or when you go through failures yourself and going, okay, that won't happen again. Well, why wouldn't it happen again? Oh, because it just won't. No. Break it down to yourself. Be honest. Hold that accountability and going, okay, I made that mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I had that failure. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, now how can I get back to that? How can I win this next time around? How can I not fail this next time around? What are the steps that I need to do so that you're back at that in terms of ready to succeed, ready to not fail that? You want to have less failures, right, as you go, but you want to have those tools in the toolbox on how to get over that failure. Thus, you get stronger, you get better, you're more willing to take that loss, right? Because it's a lesson learned and you be able to recoup on that quicker. So with that being said, who are you? What is your mission? All right. Appreciate you. Again, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Appreciate you guys for watching. Till then, deuces.